All right, guys. It's another episode of Galactic Gossip. And in this episode, if you haven't read the thumbnail or seen the thumbnail or read the description, we are going to be discussing season 2 of The Mandalorian. And we're going to catch up because we didn't get to cover chapter 9. So we're going to do both in this episode and do our, what we felt, what we thought about the two chapters and our reactions to both chapter 9 and then obviously this Friday's chapter 10. And then if we want, again, I really don't know what to predict when it comes to the show. I can say what I want to see, but I know a lot of YouTube channels that have been doing predictions and what we could expect from the future episodes in the season, but I don't think we have to do that. But let's get quickly into it. Chapter 9, you watched it last week, obviously when it came out. What did you think of chapter 9?
I love chapter 9. It was incredible. It had a lot of, especially when I saw Timothy Oliphant and the Boba Fett.
Now, did you realize it was him right away?
Timothy Oliphant?
Yeah.
I have a huge crush on him. Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, not when he took the helmet off. Obviously, you know that. But I'm saying that when he spoke, did you know it was him?
Oh, not his voice. No.
Oh,
Did you know his voice? I knew, but
I knew, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. When it took me a little bit to recognize John Leguizamo's voice, though, with the creature. When he started speaking, I was like, "Is that John Leguizamo?"
I didn't know.
Leguizamo.
I will say this: so you didn't know about the voice of Timothy Oliphant, but I did not know. I didn't realize until I looked up, or somebody actually said it on another YouTube channel that was John Leguizamo. I would never have known. I actually thought at first, because he'd done a couple of voices for other characters, I thought that was Jon Favreau again.
Really?
Yeah. When I went back and rewatched it, and I rewatched it again yesterday just for the show, I did pick up some subtle, John Leguizamo accent or just the way he talks. But if you still didn't tell me it was John Leguizamo, I would never have known.
Yeah, because I'm used to, because he did that character in Spawn, so you could pick up one of his characters, and I was like, oh my god, that's John Leguizamo.
Right.
And I was like, is it? And I was listening close. I was like, that's John Leguizamo.
Yeah. No, that was a cool cameo by John Leguizamo. It was. But so I think I picked up on Timothy Oliphant only because I knew he was before the show started, I knew he was a character that was going to be on the show. And a lot of people, had predictions of what he was going to play or whatever. And then when you see him the first time in the armor, the way he walked a little bit, and then when he first spoke, I'm like, okay, that's Timothy Oliphant. That's what he's playing. Okay.
Had no clue. And then when I saw him, I was like, oh my god, huge crush on him. And then I saw him, I was like, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah.
No, it was a cool episode, and it was the longest episode of any of the chapters.
It was. Yeah.
So James was over the house last week. So you know me, I'm a huge fan. So the last couple of times that it's been on, the last 2 weeks, for some reason, I haven't been able to watch them as I would want to watch them. And that's wake up first thing in the morning, put it on, and watch it. First Friday, I had James here, and I watched it later in the day, and he watched it with me. Now, he knows nothing about it. So I'm like, oh, dude, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They're like 27, 29 minutes, 30 minutes tops. Don't worry about it. So the show's going on, and I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. But then I'm like, wait a minute. Why isn't it over yet? And again, it's not like, now I'm not saying it was dragging or anything like that. It was a pleasant surprise. But when I clicked on the time and I saw that it was actually almost an hour long, I was like, holy shit. The one time I was telling him, don't worry, it's going to be quick. It ended up being almost an hour. But I'm happy they did that, and I think Friday's episode was about 40 minutes too.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they're a little longer, and I hope they continue with that trend. But I agree. I think this was one of the chapter 9, at least, was definitely one of the better episodes of either season.
I thought so. Chapter 10 was a great episode. It was just a little less anticlimactic.
Right. And that's only, and a lot of people have explained. So people, for some reason, this has been like a divisive kind of episode where people are saying, some people anyway, were calling it a filler episode, and I don't really agree with them calling it a filler episode. I know season 1 had a few of those, but this wasn't really a filler episode because the only reason why people didn't like the episode as much was only because it succeeded.
It came after that.
Came after the first episode. Yeah. And with all the action, the fact that it was almost an hour long.
And then you had that banging cliffhanger.
Exactly.
Yeah. And everybody was expecting this great, well, after that cliffhanger, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then you get chapter 10. Yeah.
Right. And it literally picks right off where chapter 9 leaves off.
Mm-hmm.
So, you see Mando driving away on the speeder. And then, of course, you see Tamora Morrison's character. And again, we really don't know. It's not guaranteed that he's playing the character of Boba Fett without the armor, but because he could be anybody because of the way, the way that character was cloned. However, I think it's safe to assume that it is, because of the scarring and whatever. But yeah, and I get it. It leads right off from the end of chapter 9.
Yeah,
you see him on the speeder again. He's still in Tatooine, and you were hoping, I guess, to see the character. And I really don't feel a rush to introduce, Boba Fett or Tamora Morrison's character just yet, or whoever he's playing. I want to build up. I really do. I don't want to. I'm glad they did. I'm glad they didn't wait too long and they showed that little, the little teaser.
But do we see? I don't. But are we going to see that character in this show or?
I don't know. But just wanted to say a quick hey to Not So Ordinary Jedi.
Hello.
He's been, or she has been waiting for us to come on since 11:32. See, can't wait. And this was so. Thank you for the, thank you for viewing. Thank you for the comments. I appreciate it. But what you were saying.
I like the appearance of the character, but that could be a twofold thing. That character could be Boba Fett in the show, or it could be some type of Mandalorian spinoff. Right. That's how I feel. That's that kind of happens here. We don't know.
They're also talking about a Disney Plus Boba Fett series. That's pretty much in the works. I don't know how confirmed that is. It said it was confirmed, but I really don't know how true that is right now. I'll believe it when I see it on Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means the Boba Fett series will be tied into this, or pre Return of the Jedi, back when he actually was a bounty hunter and either working for the Empire, doing his, whatever jobs he took, and back then or now. So I don't know what timeline that series will cover, but that's cool. But and you're right. You don't know really what we have in store for this character and Tamora Morrison and who he's playing. And then that's why I said, we're quick to assume that little teaser at the end of chapter 9 is setting up him being Boba Fett, which again, the scarring kind of aligns with that. That looks like somebody that was in the mouth of a monster, right. And that escaped near death. But which was a cool scene, and I think that's a setup too for what the Mando does to escape the crate dragon, is to kind of show you how somebody could escape something like that, with the ability to do so. And I think that was that scene in general was to show.
Like foreshadowing.
This is what could have happened, and this is probably how Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc pit. So, anything else you could think of? So obviously, chapter 9, we right away get introduced to John Leguizamo's character. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but Gor Koresh. And they're watching a fight between two Gamorreans, and they're trying to steal the. I don't know. Is it the baby, or he just wants the armor? I don't know. No, he just wants the best part.
I thought he wanted. Didn't he want the armor?
Yeah, he just wanted the armor. Right. He said, normally we have to find you guys to take this stuff, but you came right to me.
Yeah.
And then so my only thing with the 2 seasons and in season 1 as well. And as much as I love the show, which I do, and I find really no flaws in it, I really don't, but I can understand the arguments for what people have had some issues with, and I can agree with some of them, but one of them being the constant plot device of the Razor Crest crash landing or something happening to it. They have to repair it. And then this other thing where he's constantly sidetracked on a mission to do another mission. You know what I'm saying? So like, okay,
it's a constant time loop of something.
yeah,
I get it.
you know, and that's the only thing. Like, okay, I'm okay with the passenger episode. I am. I'm okay with Frog Lady. I thought she was she was really cool. It was funny. You know, it focused on Baby Yoda again because I know a lot of people complained about that with Chapter 9. He wasn't really in the forefront, and you know, in this this episode, the fact that he's eating the eggs,
he's eating the babies, I was just like, oh.
and how funny was it at the end of the Chapter 10? Like they're on the ship, they're flying away, and he just like
he has the one in his hand.
Like, yeah. Oh, that was hilarious. That really was. But so you know, and then we meet Cobb Vanth, and we didn't know really who Timothy Oliphant was going to play, and we find out, you know, he was on Tatooine, and then there was this mining collective after the Empire fell, and they basically took over the you know, the town, or what was it called? Not Mos Eisley, Mos Pelgo.
Mos Pelgo.
Yeah. So they take over Mos Pelgo. He runs, accidentally picks up a what was it called? A contempo? I have it written down. Anyway, what that you know, that container, and had like the gems. And that's how we find out he got the armor. He bartered with the Jawas. He's like, okay, look, you can have that, but that's what I want, because he knew we can go back to the town and basically take it back over. So I like that. I like the you know, the combination that they had to work along side by side with the Tusken Raiders, which was funny. You know, I like the tension between the two. You know, and Mando's like, you know, it was an accident. It was, you know, no, actually no.
The marshal, he was like,
yeah,
it was an accident.
The marshal's like, it was an accident to his people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, and that's you know, that's explainable too, because the Tusken Raiders were known for raiding their town as well. You know, and whatever. So, you know, and they obviously took down the Great Dragon at towards the end of the episode. Mando sacrificed himself, was willing to sacrifice himself, because he told them, look, take care of the child, whatever happens. And then that was that, you know, and then he takes a nice piece of meat for himself, and then we see in Chapter 10 he gives it to Pelimoto, who's played by Amy Sedaris. Yeah. How do you like her character?
I do like her character.
I didn't like her in season 1. I'm okay with season 2. Oh no, it did. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. So I first tuned to the stream yesterday for me at like 11 p.m. and then I tuned in again 45 minutes ago. Been waiting since. Oh, thank you very much. But yeah, I wasn't crazy about her in season 1.
I like her because she's nice, kind of like that annoying comic relief. You know what I mean? I get that she's kind of annoying, but she's kind of that comic relief that kind of, you know, and then she's kind of like that motherly figure to the child, you know, like Baby Yoda. And he kind of needs that, you know, and I like that.
She's like, thank the Force.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a quick question. We're going to get to it. I know I'm a little scattered because I kind of wanted to go from episode to episode, but also like scene for scene. But what did you think at first when Mando says, "May the Force be with you"? When he says it to the two X-wings.
I just thought he was just kind of covering his tracks. I didn't really think anything of it.
No, I know, but the reason why, and this is, that's what I thought when I first saw it. It kind of struck me as odd, but then when I watched a few other YouTube channels that were doing their reaction and their breakdowns of the episodes, they brought that up as well, and they said it just seemed a little odd because he seemed to have no knowledge of anything about that, you know, especially when, you know, what's the name of the woman Mando that makes his suits? Either way, she tell what?
Sabine, isn't it Sabine?
No. Sabine is a female Mando, but not the one that does not the one that wields welds his uniform and stuff. Anyway, she's the one that tells him of the Jedi, you know, and where he might be the child might be originated from, and you know, so he didn't seem to have any knowledge of that, you know, and that doesn't really mean phrases like "May the Force be with you," or even as Amy Sedaris' character said, "Oh, thank the Force" when she saw the child. That's something that might be said, but he might have said it and not even know what it meant.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens in future episodes to see if there's a callback to that. But it did seem a little odd that he made that statement, because I was just wondering, and a few other people, I'm not alone, where did he learn that if he's not really privy to the Jedi and to the ways of the Force? At least it's not really mentioned if he is or not, you know?
But I hear that word a lot in the show, so I'm just like, it must be around. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just thought it's around there, and he was covering his tracks. It's knowledgeable. I don't know. I didn't really think much of it.
What now? Did you pick up on when when Mando goes to Tatooine and sees Pelimoto or Mato? I don't know. Honestly, I don't really know how to say her last name, but it's spelt like Mato, so I'll just say it that way. And she's got to show him where to find the Mandalorian. Find Mos Pelgo, where he can find the person he's looking for. And she calls over R5. Mm-hmm. Now, do you know who R5 is from? Did you pick up on that? The red droid, the one that looks like R2 but is red. They're basically, I'm pretty sure they're called Astromechs, is what their droids are called. But anyway, I noticed it right away because I'm obviously a huge Star Wars fan. But R5 is the same droid from A New Hope, and in that scene when Luke's uncle Owen is purchasing C-3PO, I don't know why I said it. That's so weird. C-3PO, and he originally picks R5 as the astromech droid, and he blows his, I think it's called the motivator or something like that, and then then that's how they pick up R2. But and you can even see they show you at the back of his his dome. Mm-hmm. It looks like it was damaged and like repaired. So so it was a pretty cool callback from A New Hope with R5.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't notice that.
Yes.
I wasn't a big fan of, a couple of those movies, so. All
right. But yeah, so that was that. Let me see what else I got. So then, of course, and then like we've talked about it, but the big tease at the end, and that was pretty big, and a lot of people thought it was going to pay off in this next chapter, in chapter 10. It didn't, and I'm okay with that. I really am. I really do want it to be. Too,
but because I seriously really enjoy chapter 10. Like I said, I was like, why is this show so damn good?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I really enjoyed chapter 10. I thought it was a great show. It was a great episode. Like, there's in season 1, there's a couple episodes that just are like that.
Yeah.
Just stagnant episodes.
Yeah. They don't do anything to progress the story.
Right.
This one does. This one he's still on the same mission. Mm-hmm. It's not like he forego the mission of finding Mandalorians or finding the whereabouts of the origin of the child. He's still doing the mission, but to get to his mission and to get to where he needs to go, he has to.
He just got to,
be a taxi service. He has to be an Uber.
Right.
But there were a lot of callbacks, and that's the other thing too. Now, I will full disclosure, I didn't know this at first, but I did because I watch other YouTube channels and I do a whole bunch of other shit that the obsessive control OCD. But there were a lot of callbacks to chapter 5 in chapter 10. So chapter 5 was called The Gunslinger. Mm-hmm. And that's actually the episode at the very end is another similar teaser where we see somebody walking by, and the boots that he's walking with makes the spur, the cowboy spur or jangle kind of like clinking noise. Mm-hmm. And that was rumored to be Boba Fett. So there was a big callback. So one of the callbacks was, chapter 9 was directed by Jon Favreau. Mm-hmm. Chapter 10 was directed by Peyton Reed. And I don't know if you know who Peyton Reed is, but Peyton Reed is, has done a lot of good movies, but one of them being Ant-Man.
Yes, Ant-Man.
So he did. I think he did.
Characters in this episode is the Ant from Ant-Man.
Well, he's also, and that's what I thought too. I was like, oh look, they did an Easter egg for Ant-Man because of Peyton Reed. However, that character, Dr. Mandible, that's his name, the ant, is actually in chapter 5. As is Frog Lady. They're in the cantina in chapter 5. I went back and I watched that episode in the very beginning of chapter 5, when he goes to Tatooine and he goes into the cantina. There they are. So I was like, oh shit, I didn't even notice that.
And isn't that because when we were in so chapter 10 was directed by the Ant-Man guy, right?
Peyton Reed, yes.
Yeah. Because I noticed that, when she's speaking through the robot,
Yeah.
that robot looked.
He was also the one that I believe, I'm almost positive it was chapter 5 that he was destroyed.
Yes. So that's the Ant-Man character.
No. Is it?
I don't know, because when I was reading something, they said that there's a character from like an Ant-Man type of character inside of this episode, if I'm not mistaken.
The only thing I can think of, because somebody said that on another show, was that the Dr. Mandible character, the actual ant that was gambling with Amy Sedaris' character,
is that what it is?
Was an Easter egg or a nod to Peyton Reed because he directed Ant-Man. However, that can't be true if chapter 5 had that same character.
Yeah,
so you're right. IMDb says that, but I think IMDb, or no, I don't know if it was IMDb, but somebody said that, but I don't know if that's correct or not.
Because I was trying to figure out, because when I was reading it, I was like, well, what character could that have been?
No, it was Dr. Mandible, but that's, again, if he was in chapter 5, which he is, and I went back to watch it, he's just sitting there at the bar in the cantina. It's just this episode, chapter 10, he has a bigger episode. He has, a speaking part, but we don't know what he's saying. And he's gambling with Pelimato. So, and that's how he goes, he fronts him the money to gamble, which he loses. And then he has to take her to the moon. What is it? I want to say it right. The estuary moon of Trask. That's where she has to take her eggs before the equinox to get fertile.
Her husband can fertilize them. Yeah.
Exactly. And we don't know who her husband is yet. So that's another cool thing. So we don't know if that's going to be another plot device moving forward. But I'm sure you thought of this too, as did like the whole world of sci-fi would have picked this up. What was the first thing you thought of when we're at the scene in that cave? She's in that hot springs jacuzzi, taking a nice hot bath or whatever and warming up her eggs. You see Baby Yoda walking through that little field of stones that at first it looked like, but then we find out it's eggs. What did that scene remind you of?
What did that scene remind you of?
Yeah.
Alien?
Alien, yeah. It looked like he was... I was like, wait, is Baby Yoda... Is the child eating a face hugger?
I was like, yeah, it reminded me of the Alien.
It's the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh, wow, that's a very cool kind of alien vibe. It really was.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this, because a lot of people said that, they were a little torn between the actions of Baby Yoda and how mischievous he is, and he's a kid. And that's what babies do. They don't know. They eat shit that they're not supposed to.
I shrieked. It was rough on me.
Do you think the eggs only hatched, or I should say, hatched. Did the eggs hatch because of what he did? Or would they have hatched anyway because of the sounds of the characters in the cave?
I think the eggs would have hatched regardless.
Yeah, I don't fault the child 100%. I mean, it didn't help. He did literally walk through them, and that very well could have woken them up. And then, of course, he ate one. But I think they would have hatched regardless of, the noises, the speaking, and because it didn't look like the child really walked that far away from where the hot spring was. So I think they would have woken up regardless. But that whole scene, I was just like,
I don't think eggs hatch based on noise, anything like that. I think that they were just in the right place at the right time where it was hatching time.
Or the wrong place at the wrong time.
At the wrong time.
Yeah.
It was hatching time. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that's just what happened. And it was, the Mandalorian was protecting his baby. The frog lady was protecting her baby, and the spider was protecting her baby. It was a whole bunch of consequences running.
That's all it was. Yeah. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And then I'm watching the episode and I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck are they going to get out of this? The spiders were all over the place. I was like, first of all, I thought, okay, the Razor Crest is gone. There's no way there's nothing they could do. I thought he was going to have to burn the whole thing down. And then, of course, all of a sudden we hear blasters and I'm thinking to myself, what could that be? And I was like, oh shit, it's probably the X-Wing pilots. Mm-hmm. And then, lo and behold, it was. And then, so one of the X-Wing pilots was Dave Filoni. and he's one of the writers, pretty much one of the guys responsible, alongside of Jon Favreau, for this series. And he was also an X-wing pilot in Chapter 6, that whole prison thing, where and that's another callback to this one, and that's kind of why they let Mando go. They're like, okay, look, we know you don't have this, but we know from your records that you did this at the prison. So we're going to oversee this. We're going to look the other way. And the other guy is from a show called Kim's Convenience. I don't know if you picked up on that actor.
Mm-hmm.
So I have his name written down. I don't know if
I
know it's Paul. I'm pretty sure his first name is Paul. But Paul Sun Hung Young Lee. Am I saying it right? We'll just say Paul. We'll stick to Paul.
Paul's good.
Yeah.
I watched that show. It's a funny show.
I heard it was. I haven't really seen it, but I heard it was hysterical. But and then obviously he does whatever, they get away, and then that's when he says, "May the Force be with you." Well, no, he didn't say not then. I have it written down. But what was I going to say? Man, I didn't. Dave Filoni, child, and then of course, episode ends because they're on the ship. They were able to repair it a little bit. Just enough to fly away, and then that's when you see they're in the cockpit, and then the child pops another Pez.
Yeah,
and then that's it.
They said times are tough.
Yeah, times are tough. These are trying times.
These are trying times. Yes.
These are trying times.
Backwards. These are trying times. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was cool to see. It's always cool to see X-wings and and the New Republic, and and then of course, at one point they're going to become the Resistance, as we know it in the sequel trilogy. But no, look, again, I had no issues with this episode.
None.
I didn't.
I had zero issues with this episode. I mean,
you're
going to get episodes that aren't going to be action packed, and that's just what it is.
I know what a filler episode is. The season 1 was guilty of a few of those.
Mm-hmm. Which were also fantastic episodes.
Yeah, again, there's no episode for either season 1 or season 2. Well, I mean, there's only 2 episodes in season 2, but there was not one episode in season 1 I didn't like. There are episodes that I like more than the other. And honestly too, for me, it generally had to do with the directors too, because, and as I told you this before, I feel like the strongest episodes were directed by Deborah Chow. And one of my favorite episodes is directed by Taika Waititi, which is the final episode. But again, that doesn't mean I don't like any of the episodes, because there's not one episode I can say, oh, I can't watch that one. Or I'm like, the one's all right. But even if, like I said, fillers or not, it doesn't matter, because it's still a Star Wars series. It's still a show.
Yeah. So,
and the one good thing about this year, I can say Disney Plus finally got on their game, because we got to wait so long for season 2 of this, this season. I mean, season 2 of this series. Now, after this ends, directly after it ends, we have another Disney Plus series that we can watch, in WandaVision, which is cool that you don't have to wait a whole year gap to enjoy a series on Disney Plus and pay a subscription for something that I barely watched. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I watched a few movies.
Disney movies, and we don't give a crap about anymore.
I watched a few movies, but I didn't take advantage of nearly enough of my subscription as I would want it. I would want it to.
I bought Mulan, and I still haven't watched Mulan. My mom did. You know what I mean? So yeah, the only thing I've taken advantage of on my Disney Plus is I watched this show, and I've watched Sister Act.
I've watched Sister Act. I watched Mighty Ducks. Like, don't get me wrong, I did watch, but that was also when I first, with the exception of Mighty Ducks, because we had to wait for this year for it to come out. But I did watch some movies. I went to Disney Classics. I watched Flight of the Navigator, something that we watched on the Disney specials on Sunday nights on Channel 7, I believe. Like shows like that I watch just for the nostalgia part of it. But I'm really happy that this year they're finally going to have another series to to come right after this one. And
we got to Disney Plus for all these series.
Yeah.
They hyped us up for all of these series. Like,
yeah. But I can't wait for chapter 11. I can't wait to discuss it on another show. We'll do that again next week. But again, I gotta say, chapter 9 for me, I probably like a few of the episodes in season 1 a little bit more, even though they are a little shorter. I did like the fact that this one was almost an hour. But
I think chapter 9 was probably one of my favorites, next to the one where Baby Yoda did that thing where he like finds his powers.
Yeah, I mean, and that was I saw it. I knew it was going to come. I was like, okay, when is he going to do it? When's he going to do it? But I can't get over that one scene though with Carl Weathers' character when he's like, do the magic hand or do the hand trick or whatever, and then he just like Baby Yoda just starts waving. I love that episode.
Yeah,
I believe that's the last. I believe that's the final episode.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, so I can't wait for future episodes. But yeah, again, I do not feel like this one was a filler. It just had maybe a little, and not even, you can't even say it had less action because it didn't. It had like almost like a horror element with these creatures. And again, so I've seen conflicting stories on what they're named. IMDb calls them Krinkas, and a couple other YouTube channels call them that. But then somebody else on another YouTube channel said no, they're not, because of the mandibles or the mouth and the way it's shaped. So again, I really don't know that deep into Star Wars lore. I really don't know that kind of stuff. I really only know what I can remember from movies and other whatever. But when you're going into the cartoons like Rebels or the Clone Wars, I really wouldn't be able to tell you anything. So apparently these are called Krinkas, but I don't know if that's true or not. But it was like I said, it had almost like a horror element, and it was, for people that have phobias with spiders, it's not an easy episode to watch. I don't, but I know people that do, and I know people that said this was a little hard to watch.
Yeah, it was insane, especially because there's a million little ones and one gigantic one.
And then you got the frog lady being all badass, says, you know what? You can't understand me. I'm going to fucking rewire this droid to like a karaoke machine almost and use it as a translator. And I'm going to speak to you and tell you got to get off your fucking ass, fix this fucking ship, because we got to go. I have to bring my eggs. This isn't a joke.
And it was great when she was like, I guess all those stories were true.
Yeah.
And then Baby Yoda looked at him like, yeah, she just dished you, bro.
Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot about the comical scene in the very beginning of the episode when they try to hide. They obviously they they knock him off the speeder. They destroy the speeder.
Yeah, the rocket.
Yeah, he's like, go ahead, take the jetpack, go ahead. And then he does whatever. But the funny thing is, after he falls to his death, Baby Yoda looks at him and he just kind of like shrugs it off.
Like,
oh man, I really do love the dynamic between the two, and I know it's not a real thing. I get it, and
I think one of my favorite lines was in the first in chapter 9 where he's like, "You want to do this in front of the kid?" He goes, "What? He's seen worse."
Yeah,
yeah. I love that, and I think that's and I read that it's going to be tough because the dynamic is what's it gonna do for Baby Yoda? Like, how's he gonna figure out the difference between light side and dark side with everything he's seeing?
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and I also read that, and I was also thinking that in my brain, that's gonna be something rough with everything he's been seeing around him. You know what I mean?
Well, and also too, you got to think about is what is the end game for this? What is the ultimate? Like, where is the show leading to? Because if it's about the child, it's not. I mean, obviously, it's not. The main character is Mandalorian, but if it is about the child, because the child basically won everybody's hearts over, and I mean, let's be honest. With the exception of the action that we see in each episode, we want to see more of the child. We want to see the Force. We want to see him do his thing, and the baby hijinks, and all the other mischievous things he's been doing. But what happens when the mission, if it happens the way he wants it to, if it is successful and he does find his kind, or people that know of what to do with him, what happens then? You know, where does the series go?
And you know what? Also, I don't what the way that they're bonding and stuff like that. Is it going to be that easy just to let go?
No,
You know what I mean? Like that's just
no. One of my favorite
I don't know how
scenes.
it's going to go.
One of my favorite scenes. One of my favorite episodes. And again, I honestly don't know if this was a Deborah Chow episode. It doesn't really matter to me, but I'll never forget when he was playing with that knob thing. You know, when he kept telling him that's not a toy. It's not a toy.
Putting it in his mouth.
He gives it away, you know, because that was the bounty. That's what he collected the money or the prize or, you know, the armor thing for. And he goes to fly away and that thing is not on there. He's about to take off and then he fucking shuts the thing off. And you know damn well that he's going back for that fucking baby. He's like, no, fuck no. I'm taking that back. Because right there and then he already had a bond with it. Like he already misses it. Like, you know, it's that little thing that, and I already knew that when he set it down, I had a feeling that later on in the episode, he was going to go to use that, you know, that control thing and it wasn't going to be there. And he was going to say to himself, I got to go get that thing back. Yeah. You know, and that's, as you said, how much of an attachment does he have already? You know, and
or how much even the child to him, like
exactly. Yeah.
It's just,
yeah.
Can't let each other go. Like I don't see, like, even if they do get to wherever they gotta go and whatever season, episode, whatever, blah blah blah, what is going to happen? Like I don't understand how they're going to be separated. I wouldn't even understand it.
Well, I am eager to see other Force users. Maybe a Jedi, maybe something. I really am eager to see where they're going to go, either later on in this season or even in season 3. I think, I'm not saying like Force powers and Jedis and whatever is the only thing that makes up Star Wars. It's not. You know, it's the worlds, it's the planets, it's, you know, characters and stuff like that, like Frog Lady and other things that, you know, we've come to know. But I really do can't wait until we see a little, and we got teases of that in last season. Obviously, the cliffhanger of Moff Gideon with the Darksaber, you know, and that's another thing that's a plot, or people are known. It's known from like the cartoons. I personally never knew what a Darksaber was until I looked it up. But you know, seeing that, how he got the Darksaber, because it was something that was in possession of the Mandalorian people for a while, and then it was stolen apparently. But I do want to see backstories. I do want to see other things. And another one of the other YouTube channels I was watching said that they wouldn't mind if one of these episodes kind of drift away a little bit from the Mando, from Baby Yoda, and we get some type of backstory or flashbacks of the other character of Moff Gideon, and you know, and somebody of that nature of you know, of the evil and the Empire and whatever, and something like that. So I wouldn't mind that either. Just to see something, because obviously they're building up. They have to be building up to something, because you know, he's still out there. There's still bounties out for the child. We saw that in chapter 10 because they're trying to take whatever. And he's got it. They showed him with the Darksaber, so something has to be coming. But I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe show some type of backstory or flashback of it. Doesn't have to be a full season dedicated to it, but something. You know, and then there's other characters that have been either confirmed or whatever. You know, you have this female Jedi, Ahsoka Tano, who is supposedly being played by Rosario Dawson. You know, she might maybe get
so badass. Rosario Dawson is so badass.
Yeah. You know, and then you have Sasha Banks. We still don't really know what her character is going to be. People think it's going to be a character called Sabine Wren. You know, so there's a lot of things we're probably going to obviously find out at one point. But again, I like Boba Fett or whoever he's being played, whoever's Tamora Morrison is playing. Like the Boba Fett and that angle, whatever, I don't really think it's going to be either prevalent or something that's going to be a big plot device, or well, it might be a big plot device, but I think it's only going to be limited to maybe 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So I mean,
there's virtual signaling off of what Disney's going to do next.
Yeah.
Just probably just like an Easter egg to, hey, guess what, guys? This is just something going to happen next.
Yeah, and there's only 6 episodes left. It's a series. It's a limited series. It's not a long series. It's not a movie, so they can't. They're very limited in what they show you week to week. And if they blow, I'm just gonna say blow their load. I really don't have to say that, but if they do blow their load, all in one episode, there's really not much to do after that. So I'm okay with the pacing. I'm okay with them, building, but build it right, do it right. As long as the stories are still good, as long as the writing is still solid, which these first 2 episodes have been, I'm okay with it. I really am. I just no more of the side missions kind of thing. I'm all right with hurdles on the way to the primary mission. But again, there's only so many times you can destroy. He's got to repair that fucking ship. It's little things like that. I know it's nitpicking, but I can see the gripes. I can see the complaints with that. But other than that, as you said, no complaints here from me. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a Star Wars fan. I really do like the first 2 chapters of the season so far. Looking forward to chapter 11, and I'm looking forward to future conversations about it too with you, a Not So Ordinary Jedi who's commented, and anybody else that wants to comment. Let me know what you guys think at home. How do you think this season has measured up to season 1 so far? What are your thoughts on the first 2 chapters, and so on and so forth? And what are some of your predictions for the next upcoming episodes? And we can always go over that in future Galactic Gossip episodes. But Kitty, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
It was short notice. I mean, we had an idea. We knew that we were going to do this on Sunday, but I really wish we would have been able to do them, starting with the first chapter. But again, I'm glad we were able to cram both episodes onto this one, both chapters onto this one, and then we can do our regular scheduled program. Are we still doing this on Saturday?
We can do it on Saturday, and then I travel back on Sunday. So
okay. So we can do an early Saturday episode, right? That way, we don't do it late because you got to be up for Sunday. And then I believe we said we had to do the following episode on Sunday because you're going to be away.
I'll be back that Saturday. And then I should be back on a routine again because I don't think I do any more traveling for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So working around Kitty's schedule, it's going to be, we're going to change a couple of days. But however, next Saturday, time to be determined. We'll figure that out by the middle of the week. You can look for us in another episode for chapter 11, our reaction to chapter 11. All right. And I guess that's it. May the force be with you.
And also with you.
Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have a great day. And I will see you Saturday right here for our chapter 11 discussion and reaction. And have a great